There is a particular kind of night when the noise of the day finally stops, and something in your chest still won't settle. You close your eyes, and instead of rest, you find yourself listening for a sound, a reassurance, anything to tell you that you are not facing the dark alone. If you're the kind of person who holds it together for everyone else all day long, and only lets your guard down once the house goes quiet and the lights are off, this is for you. I know that feeling of lying still while your mind keeps turning, searching for something solid to hold on to. I've had nights like that myself, nights where I needed comfort and could not find the words for it on my own. That's what brought me here tonight, and maybe it's what brought you to a longing for a psalm of comfort, something ancient and true, spoken slow enough to actually reach the tired places in you. You don't have to find the words yourself tonight. You don't have to explain what's wrong or fix what's unsettled. You only have to close your eyes and listen. He is watching over you. Lord, I come to you tonight the way I am, tired, unguarded, with nothing dressed up and nothing hidden. You already know what the day cost me. You already know what I couldn't say out loud to another living soul, not even to the people who love me best. So I won't pretend with you. I'll just be here, honest, in the quiet, the way I should have been all along. There is so much noise in a life, Lord. Noise from people, noise from worry, noise from all the things I told myself I had to carry alone because asking for help never came easy to me. And tonight, in this stillness, I'm asking you to quiet it. Not with more words, not with more effort on my part, because I've run out of that kind of effort tonight. Just with your presence, settling over me the way evening settles over a field once the sun goes down and the work is finally done for the day. I don't need you to fix everything tonight, Lord. I know that's not always how you work, and honestly, I've stopped expecting it to happen that way. What I need is smaller than that, and somehow bigger too. I need to know you're here. I need to feel, even just a little, that I'm not lying in this bed by myself, turning over the same worries again and again with no one to hand them to. I've done that to many nights already, so I'm handing them to you now. The worry about tomorrow, I'm setting it down. The regret about what I said or didn't say earlier today, I'm setting that down too, even though it's hard to let go of. The ache of things I can't change, people I can't reach, situations I can't control, no matter how many times I've tried. Lord, I'm laying every bit of it at your feet, because I was never built to carry it. Not really. I was only built to trust the one who could. There's a comfort I've been searching for, Lord, and I haven't always known how to ask for it. It isn't the comfort of things staying easy, because things haven't been easy in a long while. It's the comfort of knowing that even when they're not easy, you are near. That even in the parts of my life that feel unfinished and uncertain, you are not far off, watching from some safe distance. You are close as breath. Closer, maybe, than I've let myself believe. I think of the way a father sits up when his child can't sleep, not because there's anything left to do, not because there's a solution waiting to be found, but simply because his presence is enough to settle a frightened heart. Lord, be that presence for me tonight. I don't need answers to every question keeping me awake right now. I need to know that you are sitting with me in the not knowing, patient, unhurried, the way you've always been, even when I couldn't feel it. Forgive me for the nights I tried to talk myself into peace instead of asking you for it directly. Forgive me for believing, even quietly, that resting was something I had to earn by finishing everything first, by proving I'd done enough to deserve it. You never asked that of me. You only ever asked me to come as I am, worn out and honest, and let you hold what I cannot hold on my own. So here I am, worn out, honest, not pretending to have it together. There have been seasons, Lord, when I mistook your silence for your absence. When the answers didn't come on the timeline I wanted, I let myself believe you had turned away, or that I had somehow fallen out of reach of your care. I know now that wasn't true. I know now that you were working in the waiting the same way you work in the answer, even when I couldn't see it, even when I didn't have the patience to trust it, even when every part of me wanted to rush past the waiting altogether. I ask for a peace that doesn't depend on my circumstances lining up the way I hoped they would. A peace that settles into a heart even when the fence is still broken, even when the bills are still due, even when the person I love hasn't called back yet and I don't know why. That kind of peace only comes from you, Lord, because it isn't found anywhere else. I've looked in other places. I've come up empty every time. I ask for comfort, real comfort, not the kind that fades by morning light, but the kind that reaches down into the tired places and says, "You are not alone here, and you never were." I ask for it the way a man asks for water after a long day in the sun, not politely, not formally, just honestly, because I need it and I'm not ashamed to say so anymore. And Lord, for every person listening tonight who is carrying something they haven't told anyone about, the widow who still reaches for the other side of the bed out of habit, the father who feels like he's failing even when he's trying his hardest, the woman who smiles all day at work and cries the moment the house goes still, the young man who doesn't know how to admit he's struggling, meet them too. Meet all of us, right where we are, in whatever kind of tired we brought here tonight, in whatever kind of ache we didn't know how to name. We don't need you to explain the hard parts, Lord. We've stopped needing explanations. We just need to know you're near them with us, steady, unmoved. The way the ground stays steady under a house, no matter how hard the wind blows against it, no matter how long the storm lasts. Quiet my mind now, Lord. Slow my breathing. Loosen the grip I've been keeping on things that were never mine to hold so tightly in the first place. Let this bed feel less like a place I'm hiding in from the world, and more like a place I can finally rest in, because you are watching over it and over me, tonight and every night after this one. Let me stop rehearsing the day that's already over and the day that hasn't come yet. Let me simply be here, now, in this one quiet moment, with nothing left to prove and nowhere left to be. I trust you with tonight. I trust you with tomorrow, whenever it comes and whatever it brings. And for right now, in this exact moment, lying here in the dark, I trust you with this tired heart of mine. In your comfort, I rest. Amen. There is a reason people have turned to these words for thousands of years, on nights just like this one. Not because they explain everything, not because they fix what's broken, but because they were written by men who knew exactly what it felt like to lie awake, afraid, and still find their way back to trust. Let's slow down together now. Let these words settle the way they were meant to, one at a time, without rushing toward the next one. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. Read that again, slowly, in your own heart, not as a memory verse, not as something you learned as a child and set aside somewhere between then and now, as a truth spoken directly to you, tonight, in this room, in whatever condition you find yourself in. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures, he leadeth me beside the still waters. There is no force in that verse, no striving. He makes you lie down. He leads you beside water that isn't rushing, isn't churning, isn't demanding anything of you. Still water, the kind that reflects the sky back at you instead of pulling you under, the kind you can sit beside without bracing yourself against a current. He restoreth my soul, he leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Your soul doesn't need you to restore it tonight. That was never your job to begin with. No matter how many years you've spent trying to do it anyway, it only needs to be still enough to let him do what he already knows how to do, the way he has always known how to do it. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Even there, even in the valley, in the parts of life that felt more like shadow than shelter, he was with you, not watching from the edge of the valley, waiting for you to climb out on your own strength, walking through it, beside you the whole way, matching your pace even when your pace was slow, uncertain, afraid. Let that verse rest in you a moment before we move on. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil. My cup runneth over. There's provision even in the middle of opposition, even while the hard things are still present, still circling, still making themselves known. There is a table prepared, and there is enough. Not scarcity, not barely getting by, a cup that runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever, not just for tonight, not just until the next hard season comes, and then you're back to wondering if goodness will find you again, forever, a promise that doesn't expire when circumstances change, when the season shifts, when the ground underneath you feels less certain than it did before. There's another psalm I want to bring you tonight, because comfort this deep is rarely found in just one place. It has to be gathered, slowly, the way you gather kindling before a fire, a verse here, a promise there, until there's enough warmth to last you through the whole dark stretch of the night. He that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. A secret place, not a public one, not a performance, not something you have to explain or justify to anyone else. Just you and him, in the quiet part of your life no one else sees. The part you carry alone until tonight, when you finally let it be seen by the only one who was ever meant to see it. I will say of the Lord, he is my refuge and my fortress, my God. In him will I trust. Say that with me now, even just in your mind, even if your voice is too tired to speak it aloud. He is my refuge, not my explanation, not my solution. My refuge, the place I run to when everything else feels unsafe, uncertain, too heavy to carry standing up on my own 2 feet. Surely he shall deliver thee from the snare of the fowler and from the noisome pestilence. He shall cover thee with his feathers, and under his wings shalt thou trust. There's something almost tender in that image. Feathers, wings, not armor, not high walls, not fortified gates, something soft enough to hold you close, and strong enough to keep you covered through the night, regardless of what the night brings. For he shall give his angels charge over thee, to keep thee in all thy ways, in all your ways, not just the easy ones, not just the ones that go according to plan, the disrupted ones too, the ones that took a turn you never expected and never asked for, and still had to walk through anyway. Let's bring one more voice into this moment, because there is a psalm that speaks directly to the broken-hearted, and if that's you tonight, in whatever quiet way that's true for you, I want you to hear it clearly, without having to say the reason out loud to anyone, not even to yourself. The Lord is nigh unto them that are of a broken heart. and saveth such as be of a contrite spirit. He is not far from you in your breaking. He is nigh, close enough to reach, close enough to hold what's cracked without needing you to fix it first, or explain how it got that way, or apologize for how long it's taken you to heal. I will both lay me down in peace and sleep, for thou, Lord, only makest me dwell in safety. That's the promise for tonight. Not that everything will be resolved by morning, not that the ache will be entirely gone when you wake, only that you can lay down and sleep, because the safety was never something you had to build for yourself in the first place. It was always His to give, freely, the way it's being given to you right now, in this exact moment, whether or not you've fully believed it before tonight. Let these words settle now, however they need to. You don't have to hold on to every phrase, or remember it perfectly for later. Just let the ones that found you tonight stay with you as your breathing slows, and the rest of the world quiets down around this moment, verse by verse, until there's nothing left but stillness, and the quiet certainty that you are heard. There's a reason the shepherd shows up again and again in Scripture. Not the soldier, not the king, the shepherd, an ordinary man, out in the field, at night, watching over creatures that couldn't watch over themselves. I think that image was chosen on purpose, because most nights, that's exactly how we feel. Unable to watch over ourselves, unable to see what's coming in the dark, needing someone steadier than us to stand watch while we finally close our eyes and let go of the effort of staying alert. Earl, an old farmer down in Tennessee, used to keep a small flock of sheep on the back acres of his land, nothing large, just enough to remember what his father had raised before him. Back when the whole county still kept a few head for wool and for company. He told me once that the hardest nights weren't the ones with wolves circling. Those nights, at least, you knew what you were up against, and you could plan for it. The hardest nights were the quiet ones, when nothing seemed wrong on the surface, but something in the flock stayed restless anyway. The sheep would shift and huddle and refuse to settle, for no reason he could point to. They don't need me to explain what's out there, he said, leaning on the fence rail the way he always did when he had something worth saying. They just need to know I'm standing at the gate. That's what a shepherd does. Not eliminate every danger, not answer every question the flock might have if they could ask it. Just stand at the gate, present, watching, so the flock can finally stop watching for themselves. Psalm 23 begins with a claim most of us are slow to make. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. Not the Lord is a shepherd, distant and general, one among many out in the field somewhere. My shepherd, personal, present, assigned, in some sense, to you specifically, the way a good shepherd knows each sheep by more than just its place in the herd. And what follows that claim isn't a list of promises about ease. It's a description of rest, green pastures, still waters, a soul being restored, not by effort, but by being led somewhere quiet enough to finally breathe without holding your breath. Somewhere in the process of growing up, a lot of us stopped believing that rest was something given to us. We started believing it was something we had to earn, through enough work, enough control, enough proof that we deserved to finally stop. But that isn't how the psalm reads. The shepherd doesn't wait for the sheep to earn the pasture. He leads them there. It's simply what shepherds do, without condition, without a ledger of deserving kept somewhere off to the side. There's a second image worth sitting with tonight, the rod and the staff. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Not they protect me, though that's part of it. Comfort, a shepherd's tools were, meant to reassure the flock, as much as guide them through unfamiliar terrain. The sheep could hear the staff tapping against the ground in the dark and know, without seeing anything at all, that they weren't walking through the valley alone. Maybe that's what comfort actually is. Not the absence of the valley, the presence of someone walking through it with you, close enough that you can hear them even when you can't see them clearly through the shadow. I think of Psalm 91 the same way, not as a promise that nothing difficult will ever happen, but as a description of where safety actually lives. He that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. The secret place isn't a location you travel to, some far-off retreat you have to earn access to. It's a posture, a decision to stop trying to guard yourself and let yourself be covered instead. Under his wings shalt thou trust, the psalm says. Not under his wings shalt thou be guaranteed comfort with no effort of your own. Trust is still required, but trust is a far lighter thing to carry than vigilance ever was. Trust lets you close your eyes. Vigilance never does. It keeps you standing, keeps you scanning, keeps you awake long after your body has begged you to rest. There's a kind of exhaustion that comes specifically from believing you are the only one keeping watch over your family, over your finances, over your health, your reputation, your future, and everyone else's future too, if you're honest about how far your worry tends to travel. It's a heavy post to stand at alone, night after night. And eventually it wears a person down in ways that sleep alone can't repair. The invitation in these psalms isn't complicated, even if it's hard to actually live out day to day. It's simply this: step back from the gate. Let the true shepherd take the watch tonight. Not because nothing needs watching, plenty still does, and will again tomorrow, but because you were never meant to be the one standing guard over everything by yourself, every single night, without relief, without rotation, without someone else ever taking a turn. Earl told me that once the flock finally trusted him to stand watch, something changed in how they slept. They stopped startling at every sound. They stopped huddling defensively at the center of the pen, backs pressed together, eyes wide in the dark. They spread out, lay down, and actually rested, not because the night had gotten safer, but because they'd finally stopped trying to manage the night themselves. That kind of trust doesn't happen overnight, Earl would tell you. It took seasons for that flock to settle the way they eventually did, but it did happen. And it happens with people too, slowly, one honest night at a time. One moment of finally setting the watch down and seeing that nothing falls apart because of it. That's the invitation tonight, for you, in whatever you've been standing guard over for longer than you probably should have. The Lord is nigh unto them that are of a broken heart. He is nigh, not eventually, once you've earned it. Not once you've proven you can handle things on your own. Nigh, near, right now, close enough to hear the smallest sound of you finally letting go. Finally lying down, finally trusting someone else to stand at the gate tonight. Picture a farmhouse at the edge of a cornfield, long after the supper dishes have been dried and put away. The porch light is on, the way it always is out there, a small, warm circle pushing back against the dark. Moths drift near it, unhurried, the way everything in that kind of night seems unhurried. Inside, the house has gone quiet in that particular way old houses do the settling of wood. The low hum of a refrigerator down the hall, the occasional creak of someone shifting in their sleep. Outside, the corn stands still, no wind tonight. Just the faint sound of crickets keeping their steady rhythm, patient, unbothered by anything that happened in daylight. There's a kind of stillness that only comes after dark in a place like this, not silence exactly, because the world is never fully silent, but a hush. The hush that settles once the day's demands have finally released their grip. Somewhere in the distance, a dog barks once, then stops, satisfied that whatever it noticed wasn't worth the trouble. Let yourself picture the porch itself. 2 chairs, worn smooth from years of use, facing out toward the field. A quilt folded over the back of one of them, left there from an evening when someone sat outside a little longer than planned, watching the last light fade behind the tree line. The kind of quilt that's been mended more than once, patched with fabric that doesn't quite match, because it was never about matching. It was about keeping someone warm. Above the field, the sky has gone the deep blue-black it only reaches once true night settles in. Stars are scattered across it, not in any particular pattern, just present, steady. The same stars that were there the night before, and the night before that, unmoved by whatever changed in your life since you last looked up. Somewhere past the barn, an old pond catches what little light there is and holds it still on its surface. No ripples tonight, just a flat, quiet mirror reflecting a sky it never has to work to hold. There's something in that image worth sitting with. The pond doesn't strain to reflect the stars. It simply stays still enough, and the reflection happens on its own. Maybe that's closer to rest than we usually imagine it. Not effort, not straining to feel peaceful, just stillness, long enough for something greater to be reflected in you without you having to force it. Down near the tree line, a low mist has started to gather over the grass, the way it does on cooler nights, settling close to the ground like something invisible has exhaled across the field. It doesn't rush, it doesn't spread quickly. It simply arrives, slowly, the way peace itself tends to arrive, not all at once, but in a soft, unhurried covering that you almost don't notice until it's already there. Inside the farmhouse, in one of the back bedrooms, a lamp is still burning low beside a well-worn Bible, left open to a page someone was reading before their eyes grew too heavy to continue. The house doesn't need every light off to feel safe. Just the porch light, steady, and maybe this one small lamp, enough to say someone is watching. Someone is near, even while everyone sleeps. Out past the barn door, left slightly ajar, you can just make out the shapes of the animals inside, settled for the night, breathing slow and even in the dark. They don't post a watch. They don't take turns staying alert against whatever might come. They simply trust the walls around them and the hands that built those walls. And they rest because trusting has always come easier to them than it does to us. A screen door somewhere creaks faintly, then goes still again, not from anyone moving, just the house breathing the way old houses do, settling deeper into the night the same way a body settles deeper into a mattress once the tension finally lets go. Further out, past where the porch light can reach, the field disappears into a darkness that would feel unsettling if you were standing in it alone. But from here, from the safety of the porch, that same darkness looks different. It looks like rest, like something that doesn't need to be lit up and examined and understood to be trustworthy. Some things are only frightening until you stop trying to see every edge of them. A single star seems to sit just above the barn roof, brighter than the rest, though it's really no different from any other lights scattered across that sky. Maybe it only looks brighter because you finally slowed down enough to notice it. That happens more than we realize. The comfort was there all along. We were simply moving too fast to see it clearly, too busy keeping watch over everything ourselves to notice what was already watching over us. That's the picture I want you to carry with you as you settle in tonight, wherever you actually are. Maybe it's nothing like a farmhouse. Maybe it's an apartment with traffic still humming faintly outside. Or a house with a baby monitor crackling softly on the nightstand. Or a hospital room with machines keeping their own quiet rhythm through the night. It doesn't matter what the setting actually looks like. What matters is the porch light, the reminder that even in the dark, something is left on for you. He is still keeping watch tonight, the way he always has. The way the sky keeps its stars in place without anyone reminding it to. You don't have to strain to feel it. You don't have to search the dark for proof. You only have to let yourself go still enough, like that pond under an open sky, and trust that what's watching over you doesn't need your effort to remain faithful. The crickets keep their rhythm outside. The porch light holds its small, steady circle against the night. The mist settles a little lower over the grass, and the animals in the barn breathe slow and unafraid. And somewhere beyond what you can see, the one who never sleeps is doing exactly what he has always done, watching over the house, watching over the field, watching over you. Long after you've closed your eyes and let the day finally go, you did enough today. I know it doesn't always feel that way when the sun goes down and your mind starts replaying everything you didn't get to, everything you meant to say better, everything that still feels unfinished, but you did enough. Today asked something of you, and you gave it. That's enough. You are allowed to stop now. Not stop caring, not stop trying tomorrow. Just stop for tonight. The particular kind of striving that convinces you rest has to be earned before it's given. It doesn't. It never did. You are not behind whatever timeline you've been measuring yourself against. Someone else's success, someone else's healing, someone else's life that looks easier from the outside than it probably is. You are not behind. You are exactly where you are, and that is not a failure. That is simply where you are tonight. You are allowed to need help. Needing help was never the weakness you were taught it was. The strongest people you know have needed help. They just didn't always say so out loud. You don't have to keep pretending you're the exception. You are not carrying this alone. Even on the nights it feels that way. Especially on the nights it feels that way. You are not alone in it. There is someone near you who has never once looked away, even when you couldn't feel his presence, even when the silence felt heavier than any answer would have. You can let your shoulders drop now. Feel that, if you can. The tension you've been holding since morning, maybe since long before morning. Let it drop. You don't need it to get through the night. You only needed it to get through the day, and the day is over now. You are loved in a way that doesn't depend on your performance. Not because of what you accomplished today. Not because of how well you held everything together in front of other people. You are loved simply because you exist, because you were made, because the one who made you has never once required you to earn the love he already gave freely. You are safe enough to close your eyes, even with the unresolved parts of your life still unresolved, even with the phone call you haven't made yet, the decision you haven't finalized, the relationship still finding its footing. You are safe enough, right now, in this moment, to let your eyes close. You have permission to rest without guilt. Guilt has kept you awake more nights than it ever helped you solve anything. Tonight, you're allowed to set it down along with everything else. Rest doesn't require your guilt as payment. It never did. You are still held, even in the waiting. Whatever you've been waiting on an answer, a healing, a change you can't make happen on your own. You are still held in the waiting itself. The waiting isn't empty. It isn't wasted. You are held in it, the same as you'll be held on the other side of it. You don't have to understand everything to trust it. Some things only make sense looking backward, and some things may never make sense at all, not fully, not this side of eternity. That's all right. Trust was never meant to require full understanding. It was only ever meant to require enough of it to take the next step. You are not too much, and you are not too tired to matter. Whatever version of yourself feels like too much for the people around you, or too tired to keep showing up the way you think you should, you are not too much for the one who made you, and you are never too tired to matter to him. You are allowed to grieve what didn't go the way you hoped, the plans that fell through, the years that looked different in your mind than they turned out to be. You don't have to rush past that grief just to prove you're handling things well. Grief and trust have always been able to sit in the same room together. You are not required to have it figured out by morning. Not the finances, not the diagnosis, not the relationship still finding its way. Morning will come whether or not you've solved everything tonight, and it will not ask you for answers you don't have yet. You are still being taken care of, even in seasons that don't feel like it. There have been stretches of your life that felt abandoned, unattended, forgotten. You were not forgotten in them. You were being carried through them in ways you may not fully understand until much later, if ever. You are allowed to rest, even while others are still struggling. Your rest is not a betrayal of the people you love who are still hurting. You cannot pour out a well that never gets refilled. Resting tonight is part of how you'll be able to show up for them tomorrow, steadier than you were today. You are known, fully, and still loved anyway. Every part of you, the parts you're proud of and the parts you'd rather no one saw, is already known, and none of it has changed how deeply you are loved. There's a certain relief in that. Once it finally settles, nothing you hide has ever gone unnoticed by the one who loves you anyway. You are not defined by the hardest chapter you're in right now. This season, whatever it holds, is not the whole of your story. It is a chapter, difficult as it may be, and chapters end. You will not be in this exact place forever, even if it feels permanent tonight. You can lay this day down now, all of it, the parts that went well and the parts that didn't, and trust that tomorrow doesn't need you to have already solved it tonight. He is watching over you, closer than you've let yourself believe, closer than the porch light, closer than the quiet hum of a house settling into sleep. He was watching over you this morning when you didn't notice, and he is watching over you now. There's a stillness that comes after truths like these settle into a tired heart, not something you have to chase, just something that arrives once you stop bracing against it. And there's more waiting in that stillness than words alone can carry, more than I can say to you in a single night. But tonight, this much is enough. Let it be enough. Let your breathing slow, and your grip loosen, and your heart finally believe what it's been needing to hear. You did enough today. You are enough. You can rest now. You don't have to do anything else tonight. No more explaining. No more solving. No more solving. No more holding the pieces together that were never yours to hold alone in the first place. Just breathe in and out. Let the room around you be exactly as quiet as it is. Let your body sink a little deeper into wherever it's resting. There is nothing left to prepare for tonight. There is nothing left to figure out before you're allowed to rest. Just be here. For a moment, let there be no words at all. No prayer to finish. No thought to complete. Just presence, yours and his, together in this quiet space. The porch light is still on. The field is still. The house is still. And you can be still too. There is no performance required in this moment. No version of yourself you need to maintain. Just the honest, tired truth of who you are right now. resting in the presence of the one who already knows all of it and loves you regardless. Let your hands unclench, if they've been clenched. Let your jaw soften. Let your shoulders drop away from your ears, just a little more than they already have. Let whatever you've been bracing against simply release. Nothing is asked of you right now, not a single thing. You don't need to hold your thoughts in order. You don't need to keep watch over tomorrow. Tomorrow will still be there when it comes, and it will not need you to have solved it in advance. It never did. For now, there is only this breath, this quiet, this small, steady moment of simply existing without needing to prove that existing is enough. Let a few seconds pass now, in silence, with no expectation attached to them. The crickets keep their rhythm somewhere outside. The house keeps settling into itself, board by board, the way it has every night for years. And underneath all of it, quieter than any sound, something steady remains unmoved, unhurried, patient with you the way it has always been, the way it will be tomorrow too. You don't have to reach for anything right now. Not a thought, not a plan, not even a prayer. Just this, just breathing, just the slow, steady rhythm of a body finally allowed to stop keeping watch, allowed to trust that someone else is keeping it instead. You are simply here, and he is simply near. Nothing more needs to happen in this moment. Nothing more needs to be said. Nothing more needs to be understood before you're allowed to rest in it. Let that be enough for a while. Let it be enough. There's a particular kind of comfort that doesn't come from having your questions answered. It comes from being reminded, gently, again and again, that you were never facing them alone in the first place. That's what tonight was. Not a solution, not a fix, just a reminder, carried through old words and older promises, that the same God who kept watch over shepherds in open fields thousands of years ago is still keeping watch tonight, over this exact room, over this exact heart, tired as it is. You came here carrying something. Maybe you could name it clearly, a fear, a grief, a decision you haven't made yet. Maybe it was quieter than that, something you couldn't fully put into words. Just a heaviness that followed you through the day and settled in once the house went still. Whatever it was, I hope some of it feels lighter now, not gone, lighter. Set down, even if only for tonight, in the presence of someone strong enough to hold it. The Psalms we walked through together weren't written by people who had it all figured out. They were written by shepherds and kings and exiles, by people who knew fear intimately, who lay awake in real danger, in real grief, in real uncertainty, and still found their way, verse by verse, back to trust. If they could find that path in the dark, so can you. So can I, most nights, if I'm honest with you. Earl's flock didn't learn to trust the gate overnight. It took time, and it took a shepherd who kept showing up, night after night. Whether the flock noticed him or not, whether they understood what he was doing for them, or simply benefited from it without ever fully realizing. That's the kind of faithfulness we've been talking about tonight. Not loud, not dramatic, just steady, present, unwavering. Whether or not you felt it clearly in any given moment, he is watching over you. Not from a distance, not occasionally, not only on the nights you remember to ask, or the nights hard enough that you finally give in and pray. He is watching over you the way a shepherd watches a flock he has no intention of losing, attentively, patiently, through every quiet hour of the night, through every hour you're not even aware enough to notice, through the ordinary stretches of life that don't feel like they need watching at all. You don't have to carry the weight of proving your faith was strong enough tonight. You don't have to carry the weight of understanding every psalm perfectly, or feeling a certain way by the time this ends, or having some breakthrough moment before you're allowed to call this time well spent. You simply had to be here, listening, willing to let the words land where they needed to land, and you did that. That was enough. It has always been enough. Walter learned that lesson late in his life, sitting at a kitchen table with his boots still on, finally admitting out loud that he was tired in a way work alone couldn't fix. It took him 70-some years to say it plainly. Maybe it's taken you a while too. That's all right. The invitation doesn't come with an expiration date. It was waiting for him then, and it's waiting for you now, however long it took to get here. This is your quiet hour. Whatever brought you here tonight, the loneliness, the anxiety, the ache you couldn't quite name even to yourself, this is a place built for exactly that. A place where you don't have to perform, or explain, or hurry past what you're feeling in order to seem like you've got it together. A place that will be here again the next time the night stretches long and you need somewhere steady to land. There is more comfort where this came from. More psalms, more nights, more quiet hours waiting for whenever you need them again. I won't say when or promise a schedule, because comfort like this was never meant to run on a timetable. It's simply here, whenever the dark feels heavier than usual, whenever sleep won't come easy, whenever you need to be reminded, one more time, that you are not standing watch alone, and you were never meant to. For now, let your body finish settling into wherever it's resting. Let your thoughts slow the rest of the way down, one worry at a time, the way a house slowly goes dark, room by room, until only one small light remains. Let the porch light stay on in your mind, steady, small, sufficient, because it was never meant to light up the whole field, just enough to say someone is near, just enough to say you are not walking through this dark by yourself. He is watching over you. You can lay it down now, all of it, the day, the worry, the weight you walked in here carrying without even realizing how heavy it had gotten. Lay it down and let yourself rest, the way the psalm promised. I will both lay me down in peace and sleep. For thou, Lord, only makest me dwell in safety. Good night, rest well, and know that whenever you need to find your way back to a night like this one, this quiet hour will still be here, waiting, patient, unchanged, the porch light still on. God bless you tonight.